My name is Noha. I'm 23, and this summer, I found myself doing something I never imagined: delivering KFC orders in Asheville, North Carolina. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't even part of my life plan. It was just a college internship with a twist, a side gig, really something that paid the bills and kept the noise in my head at bay. Asheville. It's not a place people go to chase big dreams. It's where you end up when you need to breathe. Quiet, slow, nestled in the embrace of the Blue Ridge Mountains. The kind of town where the air smells like pine needles and memory. Rain falls often, soft and steady, like it's trying not to disturb anyone. Jazz hums from the corners of old vinyl stores. Strangers smile without asking questions. It's beautiful in a way that sneaks up on you gently, like the way your mother used to tuck you in when you pretended to be asleep. I live in a cramped studio above a long-forgotten shoe repair shop. The floor creaks with every step, and the paint on the walls peels like it's trying to leave. My roommate is barely around, which means it's just me, a futon, and the sound of my own thoughts. Most days, I drive around town with a bucket of fried chicken in the passenger seat, lost in podcasts or silence, delivering food to strangers with names I never remember. But deep down, I was floating. Not in a dreamy way, more like I had untethered from the world. My major didn't excite me anymore. My friends felt like people I used to know. I was drifting, smiling on the outside, but inside I was waiting. For what? I didn't know. Maybe for life to start. Maybe for something to remind me I was still alive. And then came that Thursday. It was just another delivery. I had a warm bag in my hand, the receipt taped to the side, and an address in a quiet neighborhood I hadn't been to before. A wraparound porch. Flickering porch light. Wooden steps that creaked under my shoes. I knocked. The door opened, and she stood there. She wasn't what I expected. Probably mid-30s. No makeup, barefoot. Wearing a loose linen shirt like she'd just stepped out of a painting. Her eyes were the first thing I noticed. Wide, searching, like she was trying to read something written inside me. I said something routine, probably, "Hi, here's your order," but I don't remember my exact words. What I do remember clear as day is what she said next. She looked at me, really looked, and said, "If you're brave enough, stay." There was no smile.
No flirtaste.
Just a stillness. A challenge. Like the universe had paused and placed a door in front of me, asking me to step through. I didn't know what she meant. I didn't know what would happen. But I felt it shift. In my chest. In my gut. Somewhere deep and wordless. That question, that invitation, unraveled something inside me. I stepped inside. And I swear nothing was ever the same again. Sometimes, people enter your life like comets. Brief. Blinding. Impossible to hold on to. And when they're gone, all you're left with is the burn, the question, and the memory of a night that refused to fade. This story isn't just about her. It's about the moment that splits your life in two, before and after. If you've ever had someone look you in the eyes and change everything without even meaning to, this story is for you. I grabbed the bag and walked up the narrow path, heart thudding louder with each step. The porch creaked beneath my feet, and I knocked twice, sharp, unsure taps against the wood. The kind of knock that says, "I'm here, but I don't quite know why." The door opened, and in that moment, I almost forgot what I was holding, forgot who I was, forgot the air in my lungs. She stood there, Sala, maybe mid to late 40s, though age didn't seem to apply to her in the usual way. Her auburn hair cascaded gently past her shoulders in soft waves, catching the porch light like autumn leaves. She wore a forest green cardigan that made her eyes look even deeper, quieter. Simple earrings, no makeup that I could see, and yet there was something so composed about her. Like the world had slowed down just to make room for her presence. Like she had already lived 1,000 days like this one and had made peace with each of them. Her eyes met mine.
Calm.
Curious. Not even a flicker of discomfort at my obvious awkwardness, just a kind of soft steadiness that made me feel transparent and heavy all at once. I managed to choke out your order, barely audible, my voice cracking like a boy's first confession. She took the bag from my hands, And in that brief exchange, the graze of skin against skin, something small but undeniable passed between us. That's when she said it. "If you're brave enough, stay." Barely above a whisper. Gentle, almost amused, but not in a mocking way, more like she already knew how this would play out. As if she had asked this before. As if the question wasn't really a question. I blinked. Was that real? Did she actually say that? She didn't laugh. Didn't offer a wink or a flirty smile. She just looked at me, steady as ever, like she saw more of me than I'd ever shown anyone. Like she was watching the answer unfold in me before I even spoke. My mouth opened. No words came. I could feel my cheeks burning, my heart pounding like I'd sprinted up the whole hill to get there. I glanced toward the steps, searching for an escape, for something safe to say. Anything. "I should probably finish my shift," I stammered, voice thin and small. She nodded, a knowing little tilt of her head.
No disappointment. No surprise.
Just quiet acceptance. "Suit yourself," she said, still wearing that slight, enigmatic smile, the kind that lingers in your mind long after it's gone. The door closed without a sound. I stood there for a second longer than I meant to, hands hovering in the air like they didn't know what to do now that they were empty. My thoughts tumbled over themselves, somersaulting in my skull. I couldn't remember how to breathe right. Then, suddenly I turned, walked briskly back to the car, like I needed to outrun something, her voice, maybe, or mine. But even as I pulled away, tires crunching the gravel, windows fogging with my own breath, I couldn't stop hearing her words. "If you're brave enough, stay." That night, I didn't sleep. Not really. My body lay in bed, but my mind never left that porch. Every time I closed my eyes, she was there standing in the warm glow of the porch light, her eyes locked on mine.
No judgment.
No pressure, just a door slightly ajar, and a voice in the silence, waiting for me to answer. It had been a week. 7 long days since that evening, the delivery, the front porch, and her words. "If you're brave enough, stay." They played on a loop in my mind like a broken record I couldn't shut off. I told myself it had been nothing, a strange, flirtatious moment caught in the haze of fast food and fatigue. Something to laugh off. Something to forget. But I didn't forget. I couldn't. Something about her had anchored itself in me, quietly, stubbornly. I'd replayed the scene too many times. The curve of her voice, the way her eyes seemed to measure me without judgment, without hurry. That night had changed something, even if I couldn't name it yet. The weather had matched my mood all week, gray, heavy, undecided. But that afternoon, the sun finally broke through the clouds, pouring light over Asheville like a quiet apology. The sidewalks steamed gently, and for the first time in days, the air didn't feel like it pressed down on me. I needed to move, clear my head. So I took a walk to Weaver Park, my favorite quiet escape near campus, the kind of place where the world slows down just enough to let you breathe. I had music in my ears, something slow and familiar. My mind wandered, drifting between daydream and memory. And then I saw her.
Sala.
At first, I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. But no, she was really there, walking slowly down a gravel path. Her hands tucked into the deep pockets of a long olive green coat. Her hair caught the light just right, copper strands glowing like threads of fire in the golden hour sun. She looked exactly the same. No, not the same. She looked unshaken, like time moves differently for her, like she belonged somewhere far more poetic than here. My body reacted before my mind could catch up. I froze. My heart kicked hard in my chest. I turned away, fumbling with my phone, pretending I hadn't seen her. But I had. And she had seen me, too. Her voice came before I could run. "You look familiar," she said, and her smile wasn't the cryptic, teasing smirk from the porch. This one was softer. Open.
Kind.
There was recognition in it. And something else that made the breath catch in my throat. I swallowed hard. I delivered your KFC a week ago." Her eyes sparkled. "That's right. The delivery boy who ran away." I laughed, though it came out uneven and nervous. "I wasn't sure if you were serious." I was. She said it simply, like there was no need to explain. Like truth didn't need dressing up. And then, after a quiet moment, she asked, "Are you busy right now?" I shook my head. No words, just the truth. "Then walk with me," she said. It wasn't a request, not quite a command, either. Her voice was soft, but beneath it was something unmistakable, a challenge, a test of courage. So I walked. And somewhere between her first step and mine, the world felt different. Like maybe, just maybe, I was exactly where I was supposed to be. The path ahead of us curved gently beneath a canopy of old oaks, their branches heavy with the hush of twilight. We walked in quiet harmony at first, our steps falling into an easy rhythm like two lines of a familiar poem. The air was cool but not cold, tinged with the earthy scent of fallen leaves and something else electric I couldn't name.
She was the first to speak.
Her voice, soft and deliberate, cut through the dusk. "So," she asked, "how's school?" I hesitated, the usual pretense suddenly too heavy to carry. "It's okay,
I guess.
I'm doing this internship, but honestly, I'm more confused than ever. Everyone around me seems to have some map for the future, some idea of where they're going. I don't." She didn't interrupt. She just listened, really listened. That kind of listening that feels like shelter from a storm. And then, like a gentle tide shifting, she began to speak. "I used to teach literature," she said, almost wistfully. "High school. For nearly a decade. Then life changed. Got divorced. No kids. I moved to Asheville 2 years ago to start over. Fell in love with poetry again. Started collecting old jazz records. I play them on rainy mornings, sip black coffee, and watch the world through my window." I remember looking at her then, really looking. The way her hair fell over her shoulder in waves. The way the dying light softened her features into something timeless. "I've never met anyone like you," I murmured before I could stop myself. She didn't smile, didn't blush. She just met my gaze with quiet certainty and said, "You probably haven't." By the time we reached the edge of the park, the sun had almost disappeared behind the hills. The street lights flickered on, casting golden halos across the pavement. That's when she stopped. Without a word, she reached into her purse, pulled out a small notepad. She scribbled something quickly, then tore off the page. A number. She held it out to me, her fingers brushing mine. "I don't usually do this," she said softly, almost like a confession. "But something tells me you're worth the risk." And then, with that same quiet grace she'd carried the whole evening, she turned and walked away, her silhouette swallowed by the night. I just stood there, heart pounding, breath caught somewhere between disbelief and wonder. Her number was warm in my hand, like a secret I wasn't sure I was ready to hold. And all I could do was whisper to the night, "What the hell just happened?" The days that followed felt like walking through molasses underwater. Every moment dragged, heavy and distorted. Light didn't feel like light anymore. It was dimmer, colder somehow, as if even the sun couldn't quite make up its mind whether to shine or disappear. The world had gone quiet too. Not the comforting kind of silence, but the unsettling one, where even your own breathing seems too loud and the ticking of the clock feels like thunder in an empty room. I moved through those days like a ghost in my own life. I'd sit in my usual spots, take the same walks, drink the same coffee, but nothing tasted the same. People talked to me and I'd nod, maybe even smile, but inside I wasn't there. I was somewhere else, stuck between what had just happened and what I was afraid would never happen again. And always there was Sala.
Sala.
Her name echoed in my mind like a song that wouldn't leave. The strange part? I had barely known her. Just a handful of days. Maybe a week if you stretch it. But those days carved something into me. Something sharp and permanent. It wasn't love in the conventional sense, no promises, no plans. But it was something profound. Something true. She didn't stay. I don't think she ever planned to. Maybe she knew it all along that she was a gust of wind meant to pass through, not settle down. And maybe deep down I knew it too. But that didn't make her leaving any less real. Or any less painful. The funny thing is, she didn't teach me anything in the way we usually mean it. There were no wise monologues, no heart-to-heart talks by candlelight. She didn't try to fix me or change me. She didn't come bearing answers or healing. She simply existed fully, freely, unapologetically. She laughed like she meant it, looked people in the eyes, spoke with care, and moved like time wasn't something to be feared. And somehow, just by being that way, she showed me everything I'd forgotten about myself. Sometimes, people don't come into your life to stay. They're not chapters, they're commas, pauses that make you notice the rhythm of your story again. They show up to wake something in you, to shake you loose from the sleep you didn't know you were in. And when they leave, they don't take anything. They just leave you more awake than before. Sala woke me up. And though I walk through these quiet days with the ache of her absence in my chest, I also carry the gift she left behind. The reminder that life isn't about permanence, it's about presence. Real, wild, fleeting presence. And for that, I'll always be grateful.